Hello everybody, my name is Dr. Corey Wren. I'm a vegan sociologist, a vegan feminist, and a vegan witch. And I'm so excited to share with you my birthday trip, my 42nd birthday trip to Glastonbury in Somerset, England. So that's in the western side of England. I'd been there before, but this is my second time. I brought my dog back with me and my partner who'd never been there before. And we went this time for the Samhain season. And I cannot wait to share, I guess it's a little travel vlog. I cannot wait to share with you what I experienced, what was vegan about it, what was not vegan about it, and of course what was witchy about it, which was everything. This is Witch Ground Zero. So stick around and I will happily take you on an adventure with me. So first things first, we hit up Glasonbury because I needed to celebrate Samhain in a special way. Last year I went to Cork, Ireland for Samhain because in Ireland, very excitingly, they're now starting to reclaim the old Celtic Sabbats. So Samhain is actually Irish for November, but also Samhain refers to the old pagan version of Halloween. So I did Cork last year. I wanted to do Glastonbury this year because they have a really cool thing where they have the dragons come during the seasonal changes and they come down the high street and they fight in the city center and the seasons officially change. So that's why we came. But actually the parade, the parade didn't last very long because it's a very small village. If you've never been to Glastonbury, you can walk across it in 10 minutes. It's not huge. But yeah, that was just kind of the excuse to go. I wanted to see what would be going on in Glasonbury during peak Halloween time. So this is great because actually this time of year, it's really for the locals because a lot of folks are not going to be traveling out to the west of England during autumn time because it be cold and windy indeed. So when we got off the bus, because we had to take 2 trains and a bus to get there, it was about 5 hours from Canterbury. It was not even a joke. When we got off the bus, it was a very blustery day and we were starting to have our reservations because I had big plans for wandering around. But it turned out to be okay. So the first thing I did is I wanted to go. It was a Thursday, I think, and maybe it was a Thursday. And on Thursdays, they give free goddess healings at the Goddess House, which I completely had scheduled to do. Like I was going to do this, but because we had so many trains and buses, there were a lot of cancellations. And so we didn't get there early enough. And then I think we got there like 30 minutes before they were about to close up. And I went to the temple instead of the house and completely missed it. So just for future reference, anyone who's hoping to visit Glasonbury, the goddess house, the goddess temple, and the goddess house are the same thing, but they're just separate sites about a block from each other. The goddess temple is like literally a temple where people can go to meditate and to pray, and they'll have services there. But then the goddess house is a much larger house where it's a Georgian era house, and it sits opposite of Glasonbury Abbey. It's huge, and they do meetings and workshops, and they do healing work there and all that kind of stuff. So they are distinct, and it's easy to get those mixed up. So anyway, day one, that's about as far as we made it. We went over to a lovely little pub called the Beckett Inn, and we'll come back to that, but keep that on your radar. It's very unassuming, the Beckett Inn, but in fact would come to be a major part of the trip. So then the next day, this was the big day, because we were only there for 3 full days, really 2 full days, Friday and Saturday, as most of Thursday and Sunday we were traveling. So Friday, that was a big one, and my partner's not big on walking or anything like that, and my dog is disabled, so that also limits me. But I was like, no, we're going to do this. It's a tradition. It simply must be done. We're walking to the Tor. But before we did that, the Tor is on the outskirts of town, so it is a bit of a hike just to get to it, much less climb up to the top of it. So the first thing I did was and this is actually a boo-boo, I should have reversed this, but it was a timing issue. I went to the goddess house to receive a session there. It was like a massage and like a goddess healing, which was really, really sweet. It's just fun, by the way, to go into the actual goddess house. It's such a cool place. And I wish I could have spent more time there, but we only had 2 days. We had to go. So I had this amazing, amazing healing massage ceremony, and highly recommend that. But afterwards, then we hightailed it over to the White Spring well. Now, everybody typically goes to the Chalice Well because the Chalice Well, by the way, you have to pay admission to get in there. It's a modest admission. And the reason why people go there is because they have really well-maintained gardens. and it's really lovely to go. Unfortunately, I could not enter because I had my dog with me, and I'm not leaving my dog behind. I'd rather include my dog, so I didn't go. And I've been to the Chalice Well before, and it's quite nice, but anyway, we went over to right across the street, which is the White Spring well house. And all I can tell you is that I was completely unprepared. Even having been to Glastonbury before, somehow I missed this. I don't know how. They're only open for a brief couple of hours, really, 2-3 hours. And when we got there, they were late to open by 30 minutes because they're having some kind of private service inside. But I would highly recommend if you're coming to prepare to ensure that you're there and you have all the time that you need, but also it's a place where people meditate. It's a place where people receive blessings in the sacred well. Some people do climb into the water, and you would want to prepare, especially if it's October because it's cold. And they do let dogs inside, so I thought that was really inclusive and sweet. It can be a bit dangerous though because it's an active working well house. There's water all over the place. I saw some people slipping. But we collected some water, we hung out for a bit, took in the energy, and then we headed on up to the Tor. So if you keep going past the well house, the trail leads you up to the Tor. And my partner and I huffed and puffed. It is a bit dangerous, I will say. My disabled dog does struggle. It was very steep, so I had to carry her for the last bit of it. And when you get up to the top, the wind is so extreme. You have to be very careful as well. I almost lost a hat. My mommy made that hat. I need that hat. But it really is beautiful up there, and it's worth it. And we were very lucky because the weather did clear up so that we could have some time to appreciate the view. And my partner, again, not a very athletic person. He's not into that stuff. He doesn't like to walk, but he did enjoy, eventually, once we got up there, he really enjoyed it because it's pretty cool, isn't it? You can see, apparently, so the sign says, you can see all the way to Wales from the top of there. When I first came to Glasonbury back in 2021, I think it was, like right after lockdown lifted, there's a vegan wine shop in town, and I went and picked up a bottle of vegan wine and went up there. And Mishka, at that point, she was not even, I think she's not even a year old, so she was she was running up the hill, disability or not. By the way, in case you're wondering, she's got deformed feet. But when she was younger and a lot more sprightly, it didn't hold her back any, but now it really does. Anyway. So no wine this time. It was much colder, and we just kind of hung out, and then we decided to descend because now I have a new adventure. I wanted to go find the 2 old oak trees that are part of the old procession to Glasonbury. Now this is where my partner starts to really get mad because he hates walking. I'm loving it because it's a limited walk. From the Tor, it's only about a mile away. It was a bit of a quest. Again, my dog can't really walk very far. She walked some of it, but we had to push her in her mobility device, aka the dog pram, and it's not really made for all terrain. So there was a point where we had to abandon ship and just kind of carry her. I also have a sling that I can put her in. But we made it, by God, we made it there. Only one of the trees is still alive. The other one has been killed. A lot of this has to do with fire damage, and it does seem that well-meaning pilgrims who were leaving candles may be responsible for some of this damage, and other trees also had been killed in that way. So now these trees, unfortunately, because of a few people, the rest of us can't enjoy the trees. But I did gather some acorns, which I have now on my altar space, that are bringing some wisdom from Glastonbury. And I thought it was really, really sweet. As an American, like, old trees really fascinate me. In the United States, all of our old growth forests were completely wiped down over 100 years ago. So even to know these large trees and these old ancient forests, like this was robbed of the people of America, we'll never know that. But at least here in England, there are still some holdouts. So that to me is always very precious and worth the walk. On the way back, in order to incentivize my partner to get the hell out of here and stick with it, we went out to the brewery. There was a Glasonbury brewery, and it took us ages to get to it. And there's not a direct trail, and we're carrying this buggy and carrying Mishka. And eventually, we ended up going to the complete opposite side of the Tor, and we found the brewery. The brewery has a little place to drink outside, but it does not have a tap house. Nonetheless, we bought some beer. I got some for presents for people, and we had a drink, and then we initiated the long shuffle back into the town, and then we proceeded to do a nice little pub crawl. The first one we went to is this one. This is the Hunter's Arms. the Rifleman's Arms. Not my favorite name, but it's a local pub, and it was outside of the main part of the town. And we were on that side of the town, hoofing it back from the Tor area. So we went in there, and actually it was really, really sweet. It's a very historic pub, and they had some vegan nibbles on the menu. Just a word of advice, if you are planning ahead, their TripAdvisor and all that stuff is way out of date. They used to have a really big vegan menu, but no more. But they were able to make me a little grilled vegan cheese sandwich, whatever they call that here in the UK. I forget. Toasty, maybe. It's the same thing. And we headed back into town, and we went up to the good old Beckett's Inn again. And by the way, they spoil Mishka there. So we had to keep coming back because Mishka was just getting treated like a queen. So we did that. But then we went off into another pub on the other side of town, and we ended up finding karaoke. And we were singing karaoke with the locals all night. And it was one of those wonderful moments where you have pretty much the bar to yourself, and you get to sing as many songs as you want. So I think we sang like 3 songs each. And then we headed home. By the way, we were not staying in Glastonbury. Glastonbury is so small. It does book up very quickly. If you want to stay in Glastonbury itself, especially if you have a dog, there's not much to choose from. If you have a dog, you need to book well in advance. And I think I booked several months in advance, and it still wasn't advanced enough. So we ended up staying in a nearby village called Street, and it was like a 10-minute bus ride away. The buses ran rather regularly, so that was really good. And the place we stayed was called Mullion's 51, and it was an older building. It's a historic building, but more importantly, they were dog friendly and they were vegan friendly. And the breakfast they did was included in the fare, and it was one of the best vegan breakfasts I ever had. It included everything you could possibly want. Even fried bread, which I think should be illegal. But it was like a really good, hearty vegan breakfast. They weren't skimping on stuff. We've had some really rotten experiences with with B&Bs that claim to cater to vegans. Like when we went to Cork, we were just getting served sauteed onions and peppers every morning, and then we would just make toast. Okay, I mean, at least that's something, but if I'm paying that kind of money for a breakfast included, I feel like I should have something more than sauteed peppers and onions with toast. Anyhow, highly recommend Mullion's 51. And really nice location, very close to the bus stop. So that was a very, very busy day for us Friday. And then Saturday, the delights don't end because I got up very early, because the very cool thing at the Goddess Temple is that every Saturday and Sunday at 9 a.m., they do a Goddess service. And I was so pissed off that I missed the free healing on Thursday afternoon. I made sure I got up early, got on the bus, and came over to do the healing at the Goddess Temple. And when I got there, I was the only one. And so I got a private little tutorial. I was advised to, after being taught this prayer, there's no way I would remember it, especially because there was so much pressure on me. Like it was one-on-one, to buy the bookmark from the temple shop, and it has the prayer on the back. Maybe one day I'll share it with you, probably on Patreon. That's usually where I put the private, more personal stuff on Patreon. So there's that. And after I got my priestess blessing, then I did a bunch of shopping. And again, I do talk more about these things on Patreon. And I went to Star Child, which is my mothership, and I spent like an hour smelling every single thing and looking at everything and really just being so delighted, because for years and years and years, I've been wanting to go to Star Child in person, because I order from them online probably 2 or 3 times a year, and I'm just obsessed with them. But I was really, really sad that there were some unsavory customers in there, and the staff did not really do anything to shut down some really bigoted language. So that was very disappointing. And if you want to learn more, I discuss that on my Patreon account. But anyway, after Star Child, I needed to decompress after a miserable experience, and I went next door for the first time to Sons of Asgard. Never been there before. If you love smells like me, like smells is my favorite thing in the world, I was in there smelling everything. So at this point, my partner and my dog had met up with me, and he's also smelling everything. And he dared to make his own cologne. He's not completely happy with it. He didn't quite understand how it worked, and I was too busy smelling things. But I promise I'll fix his cologne, because guess what? Every single essential essence they had in that store, essential oil, I have that. Like I've easily got over 100 essential oils. I must be stopped. Anyway, so we did that, and it's really fun. So basically, it's an interactive type of place. You're encouraged to touch stuff, smell stuff, make your own perfumes, etc. Really enjoyed that. Now, it wasn't very vegan, and this is one of the reasons I really love Star Child, is because Star Child on these is, as far as I know, I've never seen anything that's not vegan sold in Star Child, and their candles are soy based. Unfortunately, Sons of Asgard are of the persuasion that the more natural it is, the more high quality. And for some reason, bee vomit products are more natural than soya bean products. Makes no sense to me. But all the candles in there were not vegan, and I think there was some other stuff in their bath salts, or not, maybe not bath salts, but they had lotions and things that did not look vegan. So I will not ever be as dedicated to Sons of Asgard as I am to Star Child for that reason, but it really was nice to check out some of the smells. We also hit up several bookstores, and I think I did pretty good in not buying every single book. I really tried not to do so. There's quite a few charity shops. We hit up every single one. They're all dog friendly. And the cool thing, like, we love charity shops. That's our thing. We go charity shopping like twice a month at least. The cool thing is in Glastonbury, they all have witch stuff from the locals. So I found this in one of the charity shops, Mountain Magic. I haven't had a chance to look through it yet, but it's about Appalachian magic. And as far as I'm aware, there's only a handful of books on this topic, and I wasn't even aware of this one. So I will read up on this and report back to you. I got this for like £7, and I'm really excited about it. So Appalachian magic in Glasonbury, come on, that's awesome. And this is the book that I really, really, really wanted. This is one I saw when I was there last time, and it's been stuck in my brain ever since. And damned if it wasn't the very first bookstore I walked into, and as soon as I looked over, there it was waiting on me. So it must be very popular. I've seen it quite a lot in other stores, but Magical Britain, and it's so beautifully illustrated. And so for people like me who like to find, like every time there's a full moon or a new moon or a witchy day, like I tried to, when possible, celebrate by going to explore these kind of places. So for people like me, this is going to be coming in good, very handy. Yeah, not good handy, very handy. When I was in the Priestess Temple, I saw this. I had to pick this up. I'm very interested in the vegan feminist politics of death and dying, and obviously the witchy politics of death and dying. So I will definitely be reading this and reporting back to you folks, because I'm very excited about this. And also to that end, got this for $4, a Tibetan Book of the Dead, which has always been tempting. It's been on my book list for years. So there it is. Finally got that. Couldn't pass up £4. This one, there's a British witchcraft YouTube channel where one of the witches on that podcast was recommending Haggitude. And basically, ever since I've turned 40, I'm always telling people in my hag years, and I'm embracing my Haggitude. So obviously, I have to pick up the book and check that out. So it came really highly recommended from that channel. So I will see. Some of the stuff, like, I don't know, is a bit too woo-woo for me. Like the whole Running with Wolves book that was big in the 80s, the feminist book. It was just way too woo-woo for me, and I could not make it through it. So hopefully this will not be like that, because I don't have time for that. Anyway, so that's what we did basically on Saturday, is we got our shopping fix. And what I did, I'm so strategic, and also I'm a type A, is that I just aligned all of my birthday shopping for 2026 with my Glasonbury trip. So I had an excuse basically to go shopping and smell everything and look at everything. So I came home from Glasonbury and had to wrap everybody's birthday presents. Like, it's wild, isn't it? Who does that? But it's quite nice when the birthday presents come around and you're already prepared. Just grab your bag out of your bag and say, yeah. So I was quite busy on Saturday doing a lot of shopping. And, we didn't really do much of eating, unfortunately, because it just so happens this time of year I'm doing my intermittent fasting. So I'm trying not to eat before 5 o'clock. So that meant no breakfast and no lunch. On the last day, I did treat myself to the breakfast because I'm paying for it. Come on. And my partner was just so thrilled by it, I had to partake. On Saturday, we did go actually there's a chipper. Sorry, in Ireland, we call them chippers. And in England, we call them chippies. I call it chipper because it's how I learned it. But there was a chipper that did toe fish. So we got that, and that place was slammed. They'd been in business for over 100 years, and it was like a 20-minute wait to get our order. So we knew it was going to be good. The chips were some of the best chips I've ever had. French fries for my American viewers. But we were able to, and here's where it gets good, take it over to the Beckett Inn, because the Beckett Inn is this like old school 70s style community pub where they encourage people to bring their own food, and they encourage people to come and just build community. So we did that. We're having a great time with the dog and our toe fish and chatting with people, debating the bartender about the Cure, and had a really great jukebox. We were putting the Cure on. That's where all that started. And then this guy comes out, and he's dressed up like in some kind of ceremonial garb, I guess. And the bartender's asking him about, how are the numbers tonight? And I said, excuse me, numbers for what? Turns out they were having a Green Man drummer circle out back behind the pub, but I couldn't even hear it. Also, I'm hard of hearing. I couldn't even hear it. It was just by chance this guy came in, and I happened to ask him what was going on. And we went outside and had an absolute blast. Just joining in with the drums. At one point, there was a drum in my hand, and it was like singing and chanting, and it was like so much fun and so weird and so wild and so Glastonbury. And that was our last night there, and we just had a great time. So in reflection, then I would say, as a witch, that's my place, and I had such a blast. As a feminist, I had some blips, Star Child. Check out my Patreon for that. As a vegan, I think I did pretty well. There's quite a lot. Actually, this is a shame. Like, there was like 5 vegetarian restaurants in Glasonbury, and one of them is vegan. We just never had a chance to check out any of those. But we did check out the Toefish, and they're not little. It's a regular B&B in the town of Street, next town over. They did an amazing vegan breakfast. I mean, really amazing. So it looks very vegan friendly. I just didn't really get to check out much of the food. Now, as far as the shops, not so much in the way of veganism. I did see some vegan books in the bookstores, but not very many. And it really makes me sad to see a bunch of beeswax crap everywhere. It's not cool. But I honestly, like, Glastonbury feeds the spirit, and we had such an amazing time. And usually the strain and stress of all the travel and missed trains and crap like that sends us into arguing, but we weren't arguing. We came home really transformed, I must say, and desperate to get our other pagan-oriented friends out there to Glastonbury. So I can't recommend it enough. And I think a great place for the vegan witch to find some respite. So I'll let you know how these books go. Very excited about that. And thanks for watching all this way. If you've been to Glasonbury, let me know. Like, what are your experiences with feminism, with veganism? I'm sure your experiences with witchcraft have been fine. It's a great time for me, and I just can't wait to go back. I, in fact, would love to live there one day, if I'm totally honest.